Dash start record. Yay. Well,
Welcome.
welcome. Yeah, we are super excited today because we have a special guest, my lovely friend Jay, who's joining us. And we are so excited to talk to her about all things thrillers this month. So, yeah, welcome.
Whoop, whoop.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. Yes, thrillers have quickly become one of my new favorites. I'm a scaredy cat when it comes to like horror movies, but these thriller books seem to be my jam.
Yeah, actually, that's very much the same with me. I love
Mm,
Halloween, but I'll read a good thriller any day. So yeah,
yeah.
thank you. Um, why don't we just jump into it and you can, like I said, kind of just explain how you got into like the book reading space. I know we know each other from Bookstagram, and yeah, just give a quick little synopsis about yourself.
Yeah, I think so. I've always been a reader, on and off, and really started heavily getting back into reading like the end of high school, where it was like I had a teacher who challenged me, and I was like, oh my gosh, this can actually be fun. What do you mean? I've been missing out this whole time. So I've pretty much been a reader ever since. Even through college, I made sure I read a couple of books a year, joined some book clubs, and then life kind of happens and your reading slows. And I started heavily getting back into reading, of course, around the pandemic. um, I worked for an airline at the time, and they all gave us like some of us extended leave, and so I took the extended leave and was like, well, I've got all this free time now, and so I started reading a lot more, a lot heavier. Then I was posting about my reads on my normal like business Instagram. I'm an event planner and project manager by day, and nobody cared. So then I was like, I gotta put this somewhere else. And so I started the Bookstagram, and it has been one of the best decisions that I've ever done. Yeah, and so I just, as much as I can pick up or listen to, I try and knock through because there are so many books that I want to read, and there's so little time.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't know like the full story of that, so that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about, because I was telling Ashley and Stacy about your new business venture with Cover Snob.
Yes, absolutely. So, my number one top favorite has always been my go-to feel good is romance books, and I just eat those up. I love them. I always have one in rotation just because of the way that it makes me feel. Most of them are lighter and fluffier. And honestly, I never like dreamed of starting a bookish type of business. I have my own, event planning business, and I was fine with that. And then I read a Kennedy Ryan book before I let go, and I that just like turned my love for romance up even more. And then I started reading more and more and more, and I was like, why don't these have special editions? Why don't we
Yeah.
have beautiful sprayed edge covers of romance novels? And then I started to see some for Emily Henry and Ali Hazelwood, which is
Mhm.
great, but I do heavily read a lot of BIPOC romances. And so I was like, oh, I wonder what this would do. Long story short, I saw the owner of Satisfiction Box, which is a BIPOC fantasy sci-fi special edition box. She posted that, if there was anyone out there that wanted, some pointers in the right direction, to let her know. And I took a chance and I messaged her and said, yeah, I've been playing around with this thought. And that was in April of this year of 2024, and I launched my business in at the end of June, and it's been great so far. I've worked with Tia Williams. I also did a special edition of Danica Navarra's newest book. She's a debut author, and she is the first Indigenous rom-com author that has been traditionally published. So we did a spread age edition for that, and it's just kind of skyrocketed and taken off, and it's been really, really fun to work on.
That
It's
is amazing.
it
That's
is amazing.
incredible.
I
It's
mean, if you guys
incredible.
haven't seen these books, they're so beautiful. And yeah, like if romance is your thing, specifically supporting not only like a Black owned business, but like you said, BIPOC books and specifically like romances, I mean, definitely get into it. I love the satisfaction, like you said, fantasy, that's my favorite genre. I've ordered a couple of her books. I love them. And so it's great to be able to now be like, well, fantasy or sci-fi is not your jam, but I love romance. Now you can get this type of box and the little goodies that come with that. And it's so awesome. It's so amazing. So yeah, congrats. That's
Yeah, it's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
I feel like I've just recently gotten into like special edition books. Stacy and Chanel have really gotten me into it, and I feel like it's a slippery slope because now I'm like, and I've seen some of your work that Chanel had sent. It's absolutely amazing what's on here. So yeah, I'll definitely be checking it out more because I want all the special editions of everything now.
yeah. Okay, so tell us where we can find this BIPOC romance on social media, or we can, contact you and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, Threads. I'm not very active on TikTok, guys. I'm a millennial. Like I like to watch it. I don't like to create it. Like
We struggle
um
with that as well.
yeah, I
So
struggle with TikTok, but it's all Coversnobbox on all of the socials, and then our website is coversnob.com. You can shop there. This week has been really busy. We just did a restock of Tia
I
Williams.
know.
mhm.
I'm gonna order my edition.
Yes,
Okay.
we just
So am
did
I,
a
so am I.
stock of a love song for Ricky Wilde. We didn't originally intend on doing it, and Tia Williams posted it, and it just exploded. So it's been a very busy week, and I'm so grateful to her and the team for allowing us to do a restock. So we have that going on now. We'll be announcing our holiday edition this week, which I'm excited for. It's another debut author. So I really love pushing some of these debut authors that people
Yeah.
wouldn't have maybe found otherwise. And then, yeah, we've got a few going on, and I have some other really big announcements coming up at the end of the year. And it's been so exciting. So you can follow on all the platforms and our website. You can join our email list because we always announce everything and reveal edges and stuff there first, and then we do it on social.
Nice. So romance isn't, I know me and Stacey always talk about this. It's not like my favorite genre. I'm more fantasy is my love first, but I follow you on social media, obviously, and I love you always do your reveals. And because I don't really know these books, initially, like you said, you've done a few debut authors, you do like reels and you kind of like give hints and clues, and all of your followers, they know instantly who these authors and the books are. And I'm like, who the heck, who are these authors? Who's these books? They've already read them or they're anticipating them all the time. And so it's always so funny. And then I look them up and I'm like, oh, dang, this does sound like a really good book, or, you know what I mean? So it's always so fun and interesting seeing when you make these announcements, and then obviously seeing the special editions that you come out with. So yeah, it's been really great seeing you launch it. Not only that, but seeing it all like come together. So yeah.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I don't know. I swear I'm like making them hard. I'm like, oh, they're never gonna get this one, but I gotta keep it a little easy, especially for the last one. It's between lovers and friends. And I'm like, I don't know that people are gonna get this. And literally right off the bat, they were like, oh, between lovers and friends. And I'm like, how do I make these harder? Like,
I had no idea.
but I'm glad
I
that
knew
they're
the like you said, the indigenous one, The Truth According to Ember,
Mhm.
because it obviously there was like a Native American guy and girl and stuff, and I was like, I'd seen that floating around. She might have even been doing maybe like an Illumicrate or another special edition somewhere else, and so I was like, I was anticipating that, wanting to read that and stuff, but shoot, none of the other ones I could guess. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
but yeah, that's so awesome. So we're looking forward to that, especially because we love Tia Williams. We read
Mm-hmm.
7 Days in June,
Yeah,
and
amazing.
we're
I was
hoping to
gonna say,
have her on our
yeah,
podcast.
the sprayed the whole book you did for a love song for Ricky Wilde is so beautiful. So when I saw that
Mhm.
restock, well, I have a problem anyway. I'm always like asking Ashley and Chanel, I'm like, should I buy this? And then I have to ship it to their house, like to Ashley's house sometimes to like hide the problem. You know what I mean? No books.
Yes, I totally understand. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, special editions is great, especially when they're a book that you love so much, and I just love it. And I, again, love supporting some of the other businesses, that are out there doing the same thing as
Mhm.
well, and highlighting some of these authors, because it's great, and it does great for the author, and to prove that we do love these books, and we do want the special edition versions, and
Yeah,
these books as well. So yeah,
yeah, definitely.
absolutely.
Definitely. Okay. So let's move into our actual topic for
Yeah.
this. Our book this month is The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D Jackson. Make sure that. And it is a thriller retelling of Carrie, which we've all read and we love. So this is a special book for all of us. Jay
Mhm.
obviously loves it as well. So so this episode we want to chat about thrillers and why we love them, what makes them so special, right? And now obviously this classic retelling, like Carrie was such a iconic book movie that it makes this, BIPOC version of it incredible, even though we know the story, but right, like how is
Mm-hmm.
it such a good book that even though we know where it's going, it was still a fresh,
Yeah.
retelling, retake,
Mm-hmm.
fresh take on it. But yeah, I guess put the question out there for all of you guys. Why do we like thrillers? What are the themes or elements that we like about it versus a romance or a fantasy or any other book, I guess.
I think personally for a thriller for me, I like that it gets my heart rate going,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you don't necessarily know what's gonna happen. You know what
Yeah,
it leaves you guessing a little bit.
that's a spin.
Um, yeah, it just I like wanting to not put a book down, like to speed through
Mhm.
it in a day or two. So I love the idea that I could go to sleep or I could stay up reading this, and I would pick reading it over going to sleep because I want to know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Jay, how like I guess, yeah, what do you love about thrillers?
Yeah, I agree. A lot of the times when I read a thriller, I can't sit with like the anxiety of it for too long. And so it makes me push through it in a couple of days. And I love that like reading experience of it. And I mentioned, I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, so I can't do like the
Mhm.
horror, like the ghost paranormal stuff too deep, because then I'm scared of my shadow at night and I'm like jumpy about like what's that in the corner. So, but these types of books, the thriller-ish sense to it, it kind of gives me like that spooky season vibe that I'm looking for without, and I can still go to sleep at night. So
Mhm.
I really stick to that, and I love it, and I love how creative they get, and for the most part I never see the twist coming. And especially, because I read romance so heavily, like I can kind of see those twists coming. I kind of, for the most part, I know what's going to happen, and for thrillers, I don't, and I really like that shock factor, or that surprise of just being able to read it and not know, like, oh my gosh, how is this going to turn around and end?
Yeah. Well, so you kind of hit a few different topics that I want to talk on. So do you like, or for all of you guys, do you guys like, because I feel like there's subgenres within thrillers. Do you like horror thrillers or do you like more mystery thrillers, more murder mysteries, um, creepy gothic kind of thrillers? And I guess you could like all of them, right? but um, but I feel like Carrie would be classified more as like a horror thriller, right? There's
Mhm.
blood, there's death. If you don't know Carrie or The Weight of Blood or anything like that, spoiler alerts. But yeah, I feel like that's more of a horror versus maybe Gone Girl is a murder mystery, right?
Oh
Classic.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, if you want to kind of branch those into two different things, right? And I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's any other type of, yeah, maybe there's um, like uh, creature thrillers, maybe.
Mhm.
Mm.
If there's like
A
beasts
monster.
or monsters, or yeah, that might be another subgenre. I'm trying to think, ghost
Oh,
or
like
something like that.
Frankenstein or something.
Yeah. vampire kind of thing. That could be a thriller, atmospheric, but they all have their like plus and minuses. I guess, yeah. What's your guys' preference? Jay, what's your preference, or do you have one?
Yeah, I definitely think mine would probably be more on the like horror-ish. So two of my favorite movies, and I can watch them all year round, would be Halloween and Scream. Love those franchises. Like they're always
Yes.
yes for me. Also, close
Mhm.
up there are the Saw movies. Love those as well. So
Oh my God.
I definitely like that gore
I can't
type.
do it.
Can't do it. Oh, I
I
can
can't
do
do
those.
it. Oh,
I
I can't
love those.
scream. Scream is like right up there.
Yes.
I'm with you.
I
Yes.
just saw that for the first time maybe a month or two ago. I'd never seen Scream before.
Oh my gosh. Did you
Right.
love it?
Yeah, I liked it. It was
Okay.
good.
Okay. Good,
And
good,
then I
good, good.
watched Scary Movie immediately after because I'd never seen that either. And I was like, oh, this is so funny.
Yes. Oh my gosh. When those movies were like coming out like in theaters, again, millennial. So what a time. Like it was amazing. It was the
Yeah.
best. But yeah, I think that's kind of where I stick. I do definitely love a vampire story, but I don't know that some of the stories that I read are really like they have that thriller type of vibe to it. And in theory, I like Gothic, but I really haven't found, with an exception of one, I really haven't found a Gothic story that's actually worked well for me.
Mm, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I would have to agree with Jay. Like Ashley and Chanel, no, I have a problem. I love horror, like body horror with the thrillers. We talked about Jameson Shea's book, I Feed Her to the Beast. That was one of my probably
Mhm.
one of my top 5 books ever. Honestly, I've already read it twice. I really like it. There's just something with, I don't know. I don't like scary movies necessarily. Like I like Scream and that kind of stuff, but I don't like I've never seen the Saws because they would freak me out, right? Which
Yeah.
is strange because then I'm like, oh, I like body horror in books, but it just hits differently when I read it versus
Like seeing it.
watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I've seen the Saw movies, but I was watching them like this.
Yeah, same. I've seen a couple of them and then I was like, can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
Can't take it.
yeah. But I know what you mean, like reading about them. Like I love, Feeders of the Beast. I really like horror thriller books, but reading about it, I feel like is not as
Intense.
intense. I feel like maybe because you're filtering it through your brain instead of like actually watching something. But but I really do love a good murder mystery book. Like just figuring
Mhm.
I read a really good one last year. Let me see what it's called. Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier. I don't know how you pronounce her last name. About she's a BIPOC author, and her and the main girl are Filipino, and it was just great. Like she's accused of killing her husband, who's this rich white guy, and you kind of she wakes up and she's covered in his blood, and you're like, well, she did it, and so but you kind of get the backstory of what really happened over the course of like the week, and then also her history. Like she got accused in her past of killing someone else, and it all unfolds and stuff. So yeah, I really like a good murder mystery, but it has to be good as well. So yeah, there's a lot of good types of thrillers, different ways to set things up, but a good horror one like The Weight of Blood is also great as well.
Yeah, I think mystery is my favorite too, though. I have to take a break sometimes. I feel like I read so many mystery books back to back. I'm like, okay, I need to break this up a little bit because,
Yeah.
they're great. It's just some of them, it's like it kind of starts to feel the same, but I love a good thriller with a mystery in it.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah.
I Feed Her to the Beast kind of had a mystery in it too. I feel like it was kind of a couple different subgenres of that because it was a thriller with like body horror, and you had the mystery of who was actually killing people and stuff. So it's
Yeah.
also great when a book like can do different,
Both.
like all of them.
Yeah. I also liked like Ace of Spades. Like there's like kind of like psychological thrillers. I feel like Ace of Spades is kind of like uh almost psychological mystery thriller. So I liked that, or uh Their Vicious Games by Joelle Wellington. That I feel like was a thriller, not like a mystery thriller, but again, maybe almost like psychological, where it had like some suspense, and kept you guessing on what was going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, um, this kind of competition, and you're like, okay, you know, I'm, wondering, you know, people gonna die, you know.
How is this all going to play out?
Yes, so yeah, I guess psychological thriller, that's another subgenre. So yeah. Yeah. There's lots of good, yeah, types of thrillers. Another kind of going for Joelle Wellington, I haven't read her next book, but this is another question. Do we like having like one narrator or multiple points of views? I was just thinking, it's her book, The Blonde Dies First. I haven't read it, but I know it's kind of a group slasher film theme in that book. And so I'm like, do we like the idea of a whole band of people, or more kind of like Ace of Spades, where it's just like, one narrator? Well, I guess that was multiple or dual point of view, but like seeing it from one point of view, or it's like this whole kind of gang getting together, kind of in a movie like Scream, like all together. Yeah, I guess what's our thoughts?
I personally like, give me all the points of view. Like that's always my, like, I want to see it. And I've had this conversation with a friend, and she was like, no, like I just want the one, because then I like, it could be my point of view as if I'm in it. And I think that's really interesting, but I'm reading a book. I want the full story. I want to know all the details. I want to know what he was thinking when that happened from this perspective. Yeah, give me all of the information, because I feel like it is more like that movie-esque. Like I get to see really all of the pieces moving together and how it's happening.
Yeah. Ashley says, what do you say? Unreliable narrator, when it's just one.
Favorite.
Yes.
I love it. But
Ashley loves it.
I love it. And I used to think I just like a single point of view, but it seems like the more books that I read, I like having one main voice in it, and that can be this unreliable narrator. But then I also kind of like it when like this other voice comes in, or other perspective, and then you kind of see that maybe this main character is seeing like why they're an unreliable narrator on something, if that
You
makes
get like,
sense.
you see the flaws. You're like,
Yeah, like you
oh,
see the whole picture, then like,
yeah.
yeah.
It like zooms out, maybe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
That's
is
all.
why, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's always that's almost a plot twist in itself, right? Like,
Yeah.
like, yeah, this person was mentally messed up, or whatever the plot twist is. Yeah.
And then and The Way to Blood does a nice job of this, like on the flip side of that, because in The Way to Blood, you get like these journalists, or these people giving these news stories. It's kind of like black and white information. And then when you get the actual person who's going through it, like what's actually happening, I like that too. Like this is what was written about, but this is like what actually happened, when you get the real story from the character. And I loved how The Way to Blood did that. So
Yeah, like you said, because then you get that impartial view, and then you get like, this is what she's actually, or what Kenny was going through, or like,
yeah,
or I don't even know what those fucking girls doing.
What was her name? Wendy, and I don't know.
Wendy in the, I know.
She
But
sounds
they
like a
were
Wendy.
effing up.
Well, I have a great book rec for you guys that I finished last night at 3 a.m. though, that has like multiple narrators, like points of view. So I'm trying to read a bunch of scary thriller books for October. And so I just read The Last House on Needless Street, and it's by Caroline Ward, I think is her name. And it's the kind of book where you don't even know what the F is going on until you're halfway through it. And even then, you're not right. Like what you think is going on is not, I can't even describe it. Obviously I was working last night. I'm like reading again, one of these things I'm reading on my phone, and I'm like,
these people need to chill out with their call lights so I can get past this chapter on this book and figure out what is going
She's
on.
a nurse in the ER.
Oh, okay.
So I like always, I joke around that, well, it's not a joke, it's true, but like I'll have multiple formats of books I like so that I can read it on my phone when I'm at work or doing other things or tied with these children. And yeah, that was me last night. I don't even really want to give too much away because I went into it blind, but it's this dark thriller about a child abduction, really, but you don't know what's really going on until like the end, obviously. But
Is it
it was
almost like a
surprisingly,
plot twist?
yeah, I think it, which I am honestly surprised so often in thriller books. You think I wouldn't be since I read them so often, but there's like 2 twists that got me, honestly.
Wow.
Like
That's
one halfway through and then one at the end. So
yeah.
and it's on
And
Kindle
your
Unlimited.
patients were like dying and you were just reading.
They were, yeah. I mean, it's all about prioritization, you know.
Exactly.
They were fine. It was Saturday, so it was a slow night.
Okay, my next question is, speaking of plot twists, do we like plot twists? Do we like cliffhangers? Yes, no.
So I don't know. So like the Weight of Blood cliffhanger that kind of was like, no spoiler, but where it just kind of like that was the story. Like I wanted more. Like and I struggle with that because I'm like, that means it was such a great read, like that I didn't want it to stop. But also like in real life, like, no, seriously, I need more. I need to know what happened. So I kind of have a problem with like this ambiguous like ending where anything could have happened. Like it could have gone a multiple different ways. That's not my favorite. Fade to black, kind of type stuff too. It's not my favorite. Like I do, and this might be why I love romance so much. Like I want it wrapped up. Like what happened?
Same.
Give me
In a
an
bow.
epilogue. Yes,
Perfect.
I needed.
Nice and neat.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I want it all wrapped up. I don't like a cliffhanger. I want to know I like a plot twist, but I also don't want it to be a negative plot twist. I want it to be positive. I don't know.
The person wasn't dead. Plot twist.
It wasn't dead. I wish. And all these like murder mysteries, I'm like, because they make you like the victim so much. I'm like, I hope they're just alive somewhere, and that's part of this plot twist.
Yeah. Or
spoiler alert, Gone Girl.
This is one of my favorite books. So
that was the plot twist.
So I've
you just want it always to be the plot to be gone.
I haven't read that one.
Sorry.
No, I don't plan on it. Like I've seen a little bit of the movie, and
the plot twist was that she wasn't dead. You thought she was dead. Her husband was, mourning her. Everyone thought the husband was, the killer because he was, and you're reading like her journal that she had left out or whatever the heck. And it seemed like, they had a great marriage and everything, but you find out that he actually was having an affair. So it wasn't that great of a marriage. And then plot twist was she was alive. She faked her death. She did it all.
Epic.
She did it all to set him up purposefully.
He deserved it.
Because she knew about the affair and she wanted to get back at him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she did.
It's dark. It's a dark book.
She like left notes at all of the places that he'd had sex with his mistress. So like a
she's also like a young
treasure
student.
Hunt, treasure hunt for him. That wasn't even in the movie. She left a treasure hunt for him at every single place, and was like, come and find me, like all. It was like,
yeah. So did he know? I'm sorry, I know we're getting into spoilers, but did he know then at some point, like, I mean, of course he knows, like, I didn't kill her. But did he kind of start figuring it out at some point, like, this chick is alive?
Eventually, yes, but also this chick is fucking crazy. Yeah,
whatever. He loved it though. He loved it.
But because she did all of this, and like, he had to like pretend to be this grieving husband, and then he found out that she was alive and had manipulated him, and then she comes back and is like, she pretended to be kidnapped by her friend and pretended to
That guy
be
was crazy too.
sexually assaulted by her friend, set him up,
Oh my gosh.
comes back alive, and
Mhm.
then the husband knew it was all fake.
But that
Yeah.
friend kind of kidnapped her too, though.
Whatever.
Wouldn't let her leave. He
Whatever.
did. He kidnapped her, put cameras on her, wouldn't let her leave his house. He
Let's just
kidnapped
be honest,
her.
all the men in that story deserved what happened to them, and I support everything
But
she
so
did.
then the husband's like, okay, she's crazy. She just set me up. She just planned all of this. Like, all of this is fake. But because her, she's come back and is saying all this, I have to like,
Uh-huh.
if I don't
Mhm.
act appropriately, I'm gonna be the bad guy. So he is
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I love you, honey." Like he has to like, it was talk about a psychological thriller.
It was a great book,
Like,
though.
it's
Yeah.
an amazing book. It's an amazing
Yeah.
book. But it to think of all of that is just
I know.
insane. Yes.
Okay,
I
the-
recommend you read it actually because it really is
Mhm.
good. But do the audiobook. The audiobook is one
Yeah.
of the best
Okay.
audiobooks I've ever read in my entire life.
Okay.
Amazing
Ooh,
because
okay.
it's a dual point of view. So you're getting
Mhm.
her, like I said, outlining their perfect life, and then you're getting him being like, yeah, it was an okay life. Like I strayed, I had an affair, and then he's
no big deal.
realizing all of this. Like, she's fucking nuts. She's fucking. I gotta pretend. I gotta,
Mhm.
So anyway, it is a good. Even though we've outlined the whole story.
Well, I have two
It's
hot
just
takes to add to that real quick.
Go ahead.
One, the hot take is that's one of the few cases where the movie, in my opinion, is just as good as the book
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Yeah.
really good. But I really like Gillian Flynn, who wrote Gone Girl, and Gone Girl is great. But I firmly believe her Sharp Objects book,
Yes.
that is the
That's a
mini
fucked
series
up
on
one.
HBO,
That is
hands
crazy.
down wild. It's a murder mystery horror set. I think it's in South Carolina.
Is it separate?
And it has-
Like, do I have to read?
No, they're
No,
separate.
it's completely
Separate.
separate.
Okay.
Mhm.
Did you
Sharp
read the book?
Objects is amazing.
Did you
Mhm.
read Sharp Objects?
I just watched
Yeah.
the miniseries. I didn't read it.
That is another psychological thriller, but it's about like a family, about a mom
Mhm.
and two daughters.
Yeah.
That is effed up. Like,
And it's
effed
one
up.
of those psychological books where you really don't, again, kind of know what's going on. But I remember when I first, and it's older, like I think I read it like at least probably
10
8 years ago.
Yeah.
10. But it's one of the books where I can remember I stayed up all night to finish it. Just that like gripping you, like scary kind of. There's definitely horror aspects in it, but yeah, I don't mean to get way off topic, but she does that writer does a great job, and like Gone
She
Girl, Sharp
does, yeah.
Object
Her books are
books,
good if you want good
Mhm.
thrillers. Again, the
Yeah.
audiobook's really good for Sharp Objects. But I would say that it's definitely darker than Gone Girl. even
I
though
think
Gone-
so too, which
Gone
is saying
Girl is-
something.
I
Just
know.
the mini series is so much darker. And I was like, I had to watch like The Office after I'd watch an episode of Sharp Objects. I'm like, I got to get off this ledge. Like,
You don't understand. I finished that book at like 4 a.m. and I literally just set it down on my bed, and I can remember my face was like, "What the actual fuck did I just read?" The end.
and this is why I like romance books.
Yeah,
Right? Well, and I don't think this is like thriller on that scale, but in terms of like, in terms of like just emotions and feelings, I'm trying to be really careful so I don't ruin anything. Having through the book, and my thing of like, I can't sit with this for too long, finished it in 48 hours, was The Last Mrs. Parrish. I don't know if you guys have
Yes,
read it, but,
I've
oh my
read that
gosh,
book.
like that book,
Yes.
like I was like, what is happening? What is happening? And then like when things
Yes.
start to come together, I was just like, color me surprised. Like I did not. Like,
I didn't see it either. I didn't
see it. And then, and I don't know, like, I don't know if that's quote unquote thriller, but
It was kind of thriller.
Yeah, the emotions that I had, the anxiety that I had, like reading it, I was just like, oh my gosh.
Did you see there's going to be a sequel to that book?
I'm adding that to my.
It's
Yeah.
Chanel, our friend Jen actually is the one who suggested for me to read it because she had read it.
Mhm.
It is so well done. I agree. It's the same emotions as a thriller, but
It's classified as a thriller on Storygraph.
okay, good.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know when it is, but I read somewhere that author is making a sequel for that book. So
notice
yeah,
the cover just got dropped like 2 days ago online. I just saw the
I was
cover.
gonna say,
It's-
yeah, the next Mrs. Parrish, number 2. It's coming out this year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'll definitely have to pick that up because
Yeah.
same thing. That one was it. I went into it, especially looking at the cover. I was like, oh, this is gonna be like,
Right.
something light, whatever. And when I got into it, I like to go into books for the most part blind because I feel like sometimes the synopsis gives a little bit too much away. And so when I got into it, I was like, I have no idea what I'm reading, but I'm hooked.
I swear I felt the same way. I was like, what is happening? Like, yeah, it's excellent. It's good.
Yeah, I'm definitely adding that. I need a good thriller. This is a book I haven't read, but I watched the miniseries on Hulu. It's called The Other Black Girl. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it was such a good series that now I want to read the book. I'm looking at what the author's name is. Hold up. Her name is, I don't want to mispronounce it. Zakiya Delilah Harris, and it's a psychological thriller, but it takes place at a publishing house, and like the main girl is this black girl, and there's like one other, there's a new hire black girl that gets hired, and so she's like, oh, like so exciting, there's like another black girl here, like, I feel like we can bond. Well, not to like, I'm not gonna give anything away, but like basically the other black girl is not a girl she can kiki with, basically. she's like something's off about this girl, but she doesn't know what. She's just like getting some weird vibes from this girl, and so that's all I'm gonna say is like something's off about this girl.
Oh.
And it just blossoms from there. But the mini series has so many good actors and actresses. Melly from Scandal.
She's in it.
Yes,
she's a great actress.
She's
She
such a
actually
great
is.
actress.
I love Scandal.
Kevin from The Office. I don't even know any of these actors.
Kevin's in
their
it?
names either.
Kevin from The Office.
Oh my goodness.
Will from Will and Grace.
I'm in. Sign me up. I need
Yeah.
to watch this.
There's so many more. I'm like blanking out because it's been a minute. It came out like this time last year, but there is, like I said, so many good actors and actresses. And just Giselle from the Real Housewives. If you know the Real Housewives of Orange County, right? She's black anyway. If you're a Housewives fan, she's in it. But yeah, it's a really good show. So I was like, the book's got to be good. This is, they're usually not as good as the book. So
Yeah. So the book has got to be better.
Yeah, it's on my TBR. I gotta read it. So yes. Anyway, do you guys have any more recs we can talk about? I just one more thing I wanted to ask you about, but
yeah, I have one more scary kind of rec if you guys are interested. So this was another book I read in I think I finished it in 2 days. It's called Hidden Pictures by Jason Rolek, I think is how you say his name. And it's told from multiple point of views, which is, there's like a main focus point of view, but there's subtly other ones. It's like a ghost storytelling. I don't want to give too much away, but the reason it really hooked me is I was reading it on my phone. This is the kind of book you need to actually read on your phone or in person, because it's about this woman who is sober for 2 years. She's young and she takes a nannying job for this very rich family in this all white neighborhood. And the 5-year-old boy draws these pictures, typical 5-year-old pictures, and then gives them to her. And then I had such a jump scare. It'll be a few photos. She's like, oh, this is what Teddy drew for me today. And then it goes to one and it's so scary. This very scary photo, but drawn from a 5-year-old's perspective kind of thing. And that's
in
all
the book. It'll show you in the book.
yeah, it'll show you the photos in the book as you read it. And it just adds this you can almost feel it in the air, this very eerie, what the F am I reading? And I don't want to give too much away after that, but you literally get to the first batch of photos this kid has drawn and you're like, what is actually happening in this book? So I've seen it on a lot of people's TikToks for horror books, thriller books this month. So it's great. It's on Kindle Unlimited too. It's only 400 pages, but it has 2 really good plot twists in it too, like the other book I just finished. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
all into your Kindle Unlimited right now. I love it.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
if you're
it's-
paying for that.
well, I mean, and honestly, I just feel I know it seems like I'm so chill all the time as I rock this child, but it's so much easier to read on my phone right now with the baby, with work and dissociating just a little bit. Like it really makes it easier, you know.
Yeah. Jay, do you have any other good recs that maybe that you haven't read or that you want to read, like on your TBR?
Yeah, I have lots on my TBR actually sitting right next to me, but one that I do, two that I do suggest. My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. Again,
Uh-huh.
he is
Jameson
such-
Shea told us to read
Uh-huh.
that.
oh my
I just
gosh!
finished that 2 weeks ago because she suggested it.
Yeah.
It is, I don't even know why I thought about it. Of course, you love Scream and Saw and all
Yes.
that. It's crazy.
It is really good. Now I haven't read the other ones. Like I keep meaning to like get to because I think it's a trilogy. So I've only read book one. But if you it's very Final Girl, right? Like she thinks like this thing is about to happen. There's a serial killer around, and she thinks like this one girl at school is going to be the final girl. She has to be the final girl. And she's like a total like old school nerd of like all of the horror and scary movies. And so is the author. So he put so many references about all of like the old school 70s, 80s thriller horror movies in the book. And it was such a great experience. So I really, really like that one. And he has a new one that just came out. I Was a Teenage Slasher. So yeah, that cover too is like really dark and creepy, and I'm really, really excited to get to it. So hopefully
that's
I'll
a
be
vibe.
reading, hopefully I'll be reading that one soon. And then of course I love Kaylin Barron. And so like last year she released You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight, which is another like final girl type thing. It's got a really big Friday the 13th vibe. They're at a summer camp, or not a summer camp, but there's like this program out in the woods at a camp, and what they do basically is people can pay to go through like a horror experience, and they pick someone in the group who's going to be the final girl, and there's like all of these different things, and then things start happening. And it was really good. Some plot twists in there that I was not expecting. That was a really, really good one.
Yeah. That's a good rec. Yeah, good rec.
I have one more rec. It's more of a mystery though. It's kind of a thriller. It came out a while ago, but I've read a lot of Lucy Foley. I think that's how you or Foley, I think. But she has she does a lot of mystery, but it's called The Guest List, and it takes place in Ireland, a wedding that's like on this like little island or something near Ireland. It's so good. I don't know what it is about like a wedding like book thriller where like somebody dies and it's like all these crazy characters like in the wedding party and stuff, but I loved it so much. I thought it was so good. But that's it.
That's a good one. I've actually read that one.
Good murder
And then, of course,
mystery.
Everybody's always acting crazy at weddings. I don't know what it is. Like they're just
Or on secluded islands.
Yeah, like it's wild.
Yeah, these are great recs. Adding them to the TBR. These are great. Okay, let's go. Now we're gonna switch and we're gonna do a little game to get to know Jay.
Okay.
Also, I just want to jump in. Of course, like this child fell asleep as soon as we're like rounding out with the game and everything. So
we're almost done.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Jay, I'm just gonna ask you some questions, and obviously Ashley and Stacy can chime in. There's no points, so no one wins. The points
just like
don't matter.
whose line, just like whose line is it anyway?
Yeah, points don't matter. Okay. Do you prefer audiobooks or physical books?
Physical books is what I prefer. But when life is lifing, I need that reading experience, it's been audio lately.
Yeah.
But physical is always my preference.
You're still reading.
Yes.
Yes. Listening to audiobooks.
Audiobooks are so nice because you can do so much stuff while you listen to it.
So much.
Yeah. It's
And
like
sometimes you just gotta
two
have
for
like,
one.
yeah, you have to have your audiobooks that you have going, then the one you read like an e-reader, you have your
Yes.
physical one, your trophies,
Yeah,
mix
we're
them
not
all
getting
together.
into that. You're doing all different formats. Okay, do you prefer sci-fi or fantasy?
I prefer fantasy, and I'm gonna be sounds horrible. I don't know that I necessarily get like other than dystopian, I don't get what classifies something as sci-fi. Like,
Mhm.
so if you're in space, that's sci-fi, but there's some space fantasy, like I don't know, the lines get so blurry to me, but usually a lot of the things that I pick up and go for are fantasy. Like, nope, get me out of this world somewhere else.
Yes. Yeah. Sci-fi, you're right. It's it can get blurry.
Yeah.
Sci-fi can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've tried to read a couple sci-fi books. The first one that comes to mind is that Dark Matter book by that I can't think of the author's name. I'll have to look it up. But
Oh,
he's
I
wrote
read
quite
that.
he's wrote quite a few sci-fi books. This sounds so silly, but sometimes I feel like I'm not smart enough to read them. When I read them, I'm like, what are they even talking about?
He does a nice job in that book, though, like explaining it. I feel like because I felt the same way. I was like, "Am I smart enough to read this?" But he did a nice job in
Yeah.
Dark Matter, kind of explaining what was happening.
Kind of, but I still
I-
like
Kind of.
stopped reading it, and I was like, okay, I don't get it, but maybe I'm not smart enough to. Where's my?
I haven't
high
read
fantasy
it, but
books?
I feel like the three body problem, that's probably sci-fi, right?
Yeah, I would
Counts
think
as
so.
sci-fi. I heard that's really hard to get into, like very science, mathy kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was
Anyway,
hard
sorry,
to
I
watch the show. I was
Yeah, that's how I felt. I was like, I'm not smart enough for this show. Like,
I was like, I could barely get through high school algebra. Like, I kind of need my hand held through the smart math stuff. You know what I mean? Like the timelines and
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Jay, do you prefer hardback or paperback books?
Like on my shelf or physically read.
So you can
Can I add-
clarify. You can
I
clarify.
prefer hardbacks on my shelf, but when I'm physically reading a book, I prefer paperbacks. So like right now I'm reading Immortal Dark. I was so excited to get the book, and I was in bed last night like, oh my God, this thing. Like I can't lay down and read it because it's just heavy. So while I'm glad I have a hardcover, it's difficult to actually read it at night. Yeah.
mhm.
Yes. I totally understand. It looks pretty.
yeah, the
does.
cover of that book is gorgeous.
Yes.
Okay. Do you like to binge read or are you like a slower reader?
I am a slower reader. And I had a really hard time with that, especially at first joining Bookstagram, right? Like people were doing like no shade, people were doing like, oh, the 16 books I read this month. And I was like, I read 6, like including 3 audio. Like
Mhm.
I don't know how. So I just had to come to terms with it's okay. I'm a slower reader. And I don't mind, and I don't it's not a competition. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a
Especially
slow reader too.
with
Like,
life. Yeah.
I don't even do 6 a month, but
Yeah.
at least 2 audio and like a physical one probably. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
slow reader.
Yeah.
It's no one's judging you.
Yeah.
Because I'm also
Yeah.
like, if you have work or kids or pets or life
Yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
Well,
Well, and
things slower.
I'm a fast reader, but sometimes I think it's a disadvantage because I get too worked up to read so quick that I don't really get to take in everything that's going on, if that makes sense. Like I breeze through stuff too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, what? You're like, I forgot what happened.
Let's go back. What did I just read?
Yes. Okay. Do you prefer Fated Mates or Forbidden Love?
Oh my gosh. That's such a hard question.
Both.
I know, right? I'm gonna have to
Both?
go with the first one that popped in my head, and I think it's gonna be Fated Mates, because usually Fated Mates also sometimes starts off as like enemies to lovers, like, and I love like watching them trying to like deny their feelings and like, no, you'll never have me. I'm reading oh, I hope this isn't a spoiler. I don't think it's a spoiler because I think it's like in some of the captions, but I'm reading I don't know the name of the series. Book 1 is Trial of this Sun Queen by
Nisha.
Nisha.
Yeah.
Tool.
Uh,
Oh, her last name starts with a T. Goodness. Anyway,
you were
there's,
talking about it. Yeah.
yes,
It's
there's
Thule, I think.
Thule.
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
Yes,
last
thank
name.
you, Nisha Thule. There is a fated mate situation with some of the characters in that book, but I just love watching how it's happening and someone's like, I'll never be with you. And I'm like, oh, just you wait, honey. So yeah, I think that one.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, do you prefer books that make you cry or books that make you laugh?
Honestly, books that make me cry.
Really?
Yes, I love if a book can make me cry, like it stays with me
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
And so like I
That's fair.
read All the Lonely People by Mike Gale like 2 or 3 years ago. And when I tell you that book had me sobbing in certain
Oh.
parts, and it's been like one of my favorite books still. And another one is The Stationery Shop. It's just like a tragic, oh my God, it's just like it's a tragic romance, if that means anything. And it had me in tears at certain parts, at lots of
The
parts.
Stationery? I've heard good things
The
about it, but I didn't know
Stationery
it
Shop,
made
yes, and that
anyone.
author just released a
Oh.
new book
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I'm excited to pick up. I have it.
I'm literally adding every book that you've
I
said to
didn't.
my sample thing on
It's
my Kindle,
the
so I can
Lion
read.
Women of Terrain is what I know
Yes,
that
that's the
author
new one.
by.
Mayor John Kamali. I think I'm
Yeah,
saying that right. The Stationery Shop.
yeah.
And this book, I listened to it on audio and immediately bought a copy because I was like cooking one night. And when I tell you, like, they got to a point and I had to stop cooking, no onions around, so I couldn't like make the excuse because my eyes were just, I was just bawling. It's
Yeah,
such a good
but you
book.
haven't read their newest book, right?
I haven't read the newest book, no.
Yes,
But yeah,
yeah.
I do like to cry in books. It
Yeah,
really, it got me.
I do
I
agree. It
mean,
stays with you
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
than something that makes, because I like books that make me laugh. But when you said that, I'm like, yeah, I can like count on my hand the amount of books that have like made me cry.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, do you prefer reading with music on or just like total silence?
Music. I've got to have music. Honestly, I can read with the TV on too. Like on Sundays, I kind of just put on a game and like let the game go and I read. That's actually one of my preferred ways to read is like if there's sports or if I'm doing, I'll just, head to put on The Office and just let it go because it's like something in the background, it's noise. I don't have to pay attention because I know what's happening. But yeah, I need noise to read. If it's too silent, my mind is just like not.
Okay. Well, let me make a recommendation for you, okay?
Okay.
Because let me paint you the picture of my like favorite way to read. It's just me at my house. I'm on the couch with a blanket and a cup of tea, and on the TV I put the Harry Potter ambience from YouTube in the background.
Uh-huh.
And it's so pretty, especially right now because it's usually fall themed. And then it's like you're reading outside Hogwarts and they have like very light music that plays in the background. You just have your little book. And it's so
Yeah.
nice.
You'll have
Mind
to send
you-
me which one because sometimes I get
Yes.
lost in, like the rabbit hole of like all of the different options. But yeah, I like a good one because sometimes I watch them and I'm like, this is just the fireplace noise. I need more.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'd like a little bit of music in the background, like it's an instrumental, like Harry Potter music in the background, but it's just perfect.
I like that. I like that. Disney has one too with Olaf. And it's actually, yes, they're in the castle and like every now and then like Olaf will like be chasing a flurry like across the screen, but that one it is just the crackling fireplace, but I love like the way Olaf just runs, so that's another one too.
I'll have to check that one out because that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds so cool.
Okay, do you prefer the hero or the villain?
I like a good hero. I
Oh,
do,
cool.
but I'm also okay with a gray hero. Like,
Okay.
if he's a little, he's not necessarily the golden boy, then I'm okay with a gray hero. But yeah, I do like the hero.
Yeah. Okay, do you like plot driven or character driven books?
I'm very character driven.
Yes, me too.
Same.
Yeah, I can, hey, if they're just getting dressed and I'm in their head and they're driving to work, like there's no point of this, but I enjoy it because I like this character. And so sure, I want to spend as much time as possible with him.
Oh, I love how
Yeah.
you described that. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to spend as much time with him.
I only
Well,
like that after, like, give
Mm.
me a whole book about them conquering this
Mm,
land, and I'm like, so I'm invested in them. And then I want a book about, like, so like that's why I like fan fiction, because I already know I love,
Mhm.
you
the
know,
characters. Yeah.
Severus Snape. So now I want to read a fan fiction about his.
With who?
He's-
Hermione? Or with who? Chanel? Who do you want?
I want it with Hermione, but you know what I mean. Like now I want to know
Weird.
Severus Snape's childhood. Now I
hate it.
want to know
I
about,
hate it.
him being, whatever, bullied in his child. Like I'm invested in his life. So now I want to fanfic about it. But like I need to be invested with his plot of what he's done. Like you got to prove yourself to me. Anyway, that's my.
Have you seen like so on the line of fan fiction? I know there's a huge one, like Malice. I think it's like Hermione. What is it?
Manacled.
Manacled. I've heard so many great things about that. And so I've been interested to pick that up. But I saw, and I'm sure it's not even true, but I saw like a fan casting for a young Severus Snape as Adam Driver, and now I just can't get it out of my head.
I know.
I would read. Yes.
Yeah, that's how I would get behind Snape as him as Adam
Shut up,
Driver.
Ashley.
That's
Yes,
how I
don't even
get
like
behind
Snape.
Snape.
You don't even like Snape. So
I would if he was Adam Driver, like played by Adam Driver. Sign me up.
That would be
I
perfect.
know. I know. But yeah, we can talk to you about Manacled another day. We gotta
Okay.
give you some
a lot of
some trigger warnings.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. Thanks.
But no, you're totally right about Adam Driver. Okay, do you prefer, we just have a couple more, enemies to lovers or friends to lovers?
I love a good friends to lovers.
Okay.
I do. I know people love the enemies, but so honestly, I feel like enemies to lovers only works really well in fantasy because they're actually trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
Like enemies to lovers, like in real world, is like we had a disagreement. He didn't like my proposal, and now he's my like enemy. Like that's a little bit harder of a sell for me. But friends to lovers,
you mean like in a traditional romance?
Yes. Friends to lovers in any in any of the situations, especially like he's just always had her back, or any of that. I love it. I love the way like I pick up on like they know each other so intimately already.
Yeah. That's cute.
Yeah.
You're right.
I think that's fair because
yeah.
I love an enemies to lovers. I love this like morally evilly gray villain character, but mostly because I know it can never happen and it's fantasy. But if it was real life and someone was mean to me, I would cry. Like I wouldn't be able. I mean,
which is
I
why
have to
like
ask my
romance.
friends, do you still like me all the time? I can handle it in real life. But like in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, he could be so borderline crazy mean to me and I would know he loves me deep down. I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't handle it in real life.
But romance is supposed to echo real life, you know what I mean? And in real life you're like, I want someone who's going to be my friend, and like you said, is like I love the subtlety, like you said, of being like, oh, he knows my favorite flower, and or whatever the heck, so that totally makes sense. And you love romance, so that makes sense. Okay, well then you're definitely we know the answer to this question. Do you prefer romance or thriller?
Romance, absolutely. Absolutely. Although I'm interested in what like a romantic thriller might look like. I haven't seen really any of those, so I haven't read any. I'm sure they're out there. So
I know. Maybe we created a new genre.
Well, Way to Blood kind of is. Like there's a love story kind of happening in it.
You're
I guess Way to
right.
Blood just like has it all. Like
you're right.
You're right.
A little bit,
it does.
It is. Yeah, you're right. Yes, and I loved it, and I wanted more. Yes,
and I did. And it's for the only one I can at least think of, and I I wanted more of that couple in the
Yeah.
book. So
Totally,
Yeah.
totally.
I just think, how did she fit all of that in that book?
I
Like,
know.
I
all
don't
those
know.
amazing details and like
Which
subplots
is
and
why
wild.
it's so great to have, like I said, like a fresh take on, we know
Mhm.
Carrie, we know what's gonna
Yes.
happen. We either
Mhm.
read the book or seen the movie, and yet we get these surprising plot twist, we get romance in it, we get, a different take, on now we're adding a level of racism in it, and so it's, yeah. Anyway, everyone
Small
needs to read
town
this.
vibes, like all of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
All of it.
yeah.
I think that's how you know an author really knows how to write so well, like she does, because like you said, Carrie, we know what's going to happen. But when I was reading that book, I still found myself being surprised, if that makes sense, even though I knew it was coming. And I just think that's
I
really
was
hard.
stressed.
Yeah, I was stressed. I'm always stressed. And I was
reading that
real
book.
stressed. Yeah.
Stressed.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good feat, I feel like, for
Mhm.
any author that can make something that's so well known for so long,
Yeah.
so fresh. So
Agreed.
yeah.
Definitely. Well, yeah, this has been great. We can wrap this up. So, at the end of the episode, Jay, we do, this is kind of a nod back to fan fiction, since we were originally fan fiction readers and like did that in our podcast. We do kudos, which is people or things that throughout the week we just want to give a shout out to and kind of thank and appreciate. So we'll start out, three of us will do some kudos, and then at the end, if you want to do some kudos and give some thanks, you can, and then we'll say bye.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, Ashley, do you want to start out? You have some kudos.
Yeah,
for the
I
week?
have a couple this week because I feel like it's been a busy week. First, I want to kudos my friends Josh and Sarah. We ran a race yesterday together, and it was just fun. And they both kind of pushed me to always run a little better, so that was nice. And they're just always fun to do things with. My other one is for our friend Jen. Me and Chanel got to have dinner at her house yesterday, and she like planned this like craft night with us. We made like doormats, like Halloween themed. It was just so nice, and a lot of work. And then my biggest kudos is to you, Jay, because you have been so much fun to have on the podcast. I was so excited to meet you today. And just thank you for taking time out of like your weekend to like spend an hour or so with us. It's been so much fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna copy you a little bit. I have a couple of kudos, but my first kudos is to Stacy. She made me a bound copy of one of our favorite fan fictions, which is The Auction, and it was so
Yeah.
beautiful. So thank you, Stacy, for
Anytime.
making that.
I love you,
And
and we love Julie Soto, who
yes.
wrote that. Yeah, yeah.
So thank you. And also, like Ashley, last night we had a little birthday party for our friend Brittany. So happy birthday, Brittany, and thank you, Jen, for making dinner and doing our little craft together. So yeah, that was super fun. And then of course, Jay, thank you for coming on. Like Ashley said, you took time out of your weekend, out of your day to hang out with us and to talk books. So yeah, we just really appreciate it. And yeah, it's been super fun. You're always welcome to come back. So thank you.
Please, please, yes, I would love it.
So I have a couple. Real quick, I want to kudos my friend Ellie. She's my work reading buddy. I mean, I'm friends with her outside of work, obviously, but we started this whole thing where we have a library in our work locker, and we have a book club at work now, and it makes it bearable to have a book friend in person. And that, so she's been really great this week. We've been talking about fan fictions and books, and she was in a reading slump and she's getting over it. So I wanted to shout her out. And Theo's parents have been helping with the kids a lot this week because we've been busy. And then my biggest kudos, to copy everyone, has been you, Jay. I have, ever since Chanel started talking about you, which was a while ago, I stalk your Instagram and your podcast, and now you're a cover snob. Like, it's just funny because it's all wonderful. Your content is so refreshing and great. Your takes are great.
Yeah.
And then when Chanel told me about Cover Snob, I'm like literally hiding my phone because my husband is like, can you please stop ordering so many books? Like, it's absurd. And then Chanel told me about it, and I was like, ho, 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 I'm going to have to send this subscription to Ashley's house.
Gotta
And
buy
it
some
just-
more.
but it's just, yeah, you just do great work. I'm so glad we got to finally like talk and not meet in person, obviously, but through Zoom. And Chanel talks very highly of you, and you're great. Yeah, your takes are great. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. So of course, like my first kudos is to like all of you. Just to be invited on the podcast. I love it. I've been listening to you guys for a while since I met, Chanel. And I love it. Girls gushing over books, like sign me up. So thank you guys so
Yeah.
much for inviting me on. It's been a blast. I've had so much fun and I love it.
Yay.
Also, definitely want to give a kudos to Tia Williams because, oh my gosh, her posting about the book this week has sent the business cover snob like spiraling in the best way. And just the support of a small business, especially starting this, like, do people really like it doesn't exist this way? And maybe that's for a reason. Do people really want it? And so just all of the support, even if it wasn't with a purchase, but just a like, a share, a comment, a hey, I think you're doing a great job. So for everyone that's done that, like, thank you. It definitely means the world. And then the last one I want to, give a kudos to my sister and my book bestie, Brittany. They are officially on my Cover Snob team. And they jump in and help out when needed. They talk me off a ledge when I'm like, things aren't working. I don't know about this. There definitely been the support and that I didn't expect, and they don't ask for anything in return. So I just want to, shout them out and thank, them for helping me. And one day I'll be able to officially put them, on payroll other than just, giving them stuff and treating them to dinner here and
I was
there.
gonna say I'm buying them a coffee.
That's
Right. So they're definitely have been a huge support answering questions. Like if I just need a break, like it's fine. I'll sign into Instagram and answer your questions for you. So like I'm really thankful for them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Love
Yeah,
that.
that's really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
we do want the book subscriptions and stuff you do. I just think there's not a lot of it right now. And I think people want it and it's just not available,
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're breaking ground and you're doing amazing. So
Thank
Yeah.
you. And
do
I'm
you
also open like questions. Like someone helped me get started and I definitely believe in paying it forward. So if anyone listening has questions, like shoot me a DM on the Cover Snob page. Like I'm an open book. I don't believe in like gatekeeping.
Yeah.
I love small businesses and we add to the economy. So if anyone out there ever has questions, my DMs are open.
yeah,
Sweet.
that's what I was gonna say. Tell everyone again, one more time, where they can contact you, your Bookstagram, your podcast, Cover Snob. Give all your
Yes. Oh my gosh, so
socials.
many things.
I know.
Okay, so my personal Bookstagram is books with J Braggs, and it's spelled JAYBRAGGS. And that's also what I use that platform to talk about my podcast, What You're Reading, where I connect with other readers. And again, we just gush over books about what we're currently reading. We kind of stick to a theme or a subject, and then it usually always veers, which is fine because that's the way book chats go. And then for the business Cover Snob, it is Coversnobbox on all social media, Instagram, Threads, and sometimes TikTok. And then the website is coversnob.com, where you can search our inventory and connect with us there. Emails and DMs are always open.
Perfect.
Yay.
Everyone
Thank
go.
you guys so much for having me on.
Yeah,
This was really, really fun.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
fun. Yeah. Thank you.
so
Yeah,
much.
thank you so much.
This is amazing. So yay. We'll have to have you back.
Yes.
Thank you
Yes.
everyone for listening.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a safe week and make sure you read what you like.